Good afternoon to all of you. My name is Avinash Khurana and I'm the moderator for today's webinar. And it gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you all to an NHRian webinar on the theme Surviving the Thriving in the Post-COVID World. The webinar is divided into two parts, learning session for 45 minutes and Q&A session for next 15 minutes. We would like to hear from you and would like to include your questions in the conversation. So ask questions, use the chat panel on the right side of your GoToWebinar player to share at any time during the webinar. It's my privilege to have with us Mr. Arun Wakhlu for our featured speaker for today's webinar. A very good afternoon to you, sir.
Hearty welcome. Yes, good afternoon to everyone. An absolute delight to be here.
And now request Mr. Aman Rajabali to share his brief profile. Over to Aman, sir.
Namaskar, good afternoon, everybody across India. Though I cannot see you, but I hope that you guys can see me. This is such a pleasure to have you all on this webinar, and we are as excited in Pune as you guys are. We have our favorite leader, mentor, friend, philosopher, guide, advisor, Mr. Arun Wakhlu. हम उनको प्यार से अरुण बोलते हैं. I will, those people who don't know him, which I doubt, but still let me just give you a brief about him. And I have a document that I'm going to read out from. Mr. Wakhlu is the founder, director, and chief mentor of Pragati Leadership Institute, which is based in India. He is also the chairman of Pragati Foundation, an NGO dedicated to unfolding joy, peace, and abundance through facilitating connections, conversations, and co-creation. He is the initiator of Purna Pune, which means compassionate Pune. Arun holds a BTech degree from IIT Delhi, a PGDBA from IIM Ahmedabad. So he's a true bred IIT IIM gentleman. An eloquent presenter, insightful coach, and a master facilitator, Arun has logged over 25,000 hours of facilitation and coaching internationally. He has worked to develop leaders in leading organizations that includes business, education, NGOs, and the government sectors. Moreover, an accomplished writer, Arun has published more than 28 papers and written the award-winning book Managing from Heart. He has helped pioneer the concept of wholesome development and wholesome leadership aimed at working from joy for prosperity with peace. His latest book, which he co-authored with his father, Professor Dr. Omkar Wakhlu, One Wholesome World, is a practical game-changing manual for global transformation, starting with each one of us. And compassion, creativity, optimism, enthusiasm, relationship building, strategic mindedness, and resilience are Arun's 7 core strengths. He loves life. Life, L-I-F-E, he sees it as love in full expression. Apart from the official introduction, let me also share that Arun has been one of the founders of National HRD Network Pune chapter and has been the former president. And during his tenure, the Pune chapter was also privileged in those days, in the late 80s and early 90s, to have won the Best Chapter Award. And we all look up to him, and whenever we need any support or guidance or anything, we just pick up the call or write to him, and he's always available for us. So Arun, tahe dil se shukriya. Thank you so much for always being there for us, and it gives us a lot of support and confidence.
Thank you.
Over to you, Arun. We look forward.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Aman. Thank you, Avinash. Thank you, Anand. And a very hearty welcome to all the participants on this webinar, Surviving to Thriving in a Post-COVID-19 World. Before anything else, I want to acknowledge and salute the divine core, the sacred core in each one of you, and to say that our thriving, our going forward, our celebrating life, and coming out of this crisis with great strength and great newness will depend a lot on tapping into the inner resources that each one of us have. So I'm very grateful to you. I'm grateful to Aman and Anand and Avinash, and off we go. So Mother Earth is my favorite picture. Gaia, she's like a mother. She has, for billions of years, nourished life on Earth and has helped human beings to grow and to thrive and survive. But what has happened over the years is that in our exuberance, in our forgetfulness, in our hubris and arrogance, human beings seem to have forgotten some very basic, fundamental things about life and needed a wake up call, needed a master, a teacher to come and wake us up. And I'm delighted and grateful, although there is huge suffering on the planet right now, there is a lot of illness, lot of pain, lot of real sadness and suffering. COVID seems to have come as some kind of a teacher to teach us something. Now, I just want you to write in the chat, and I will continuously be inviting you to chat about, is COVID a destroyer?
Arun, sorry to interrupt. Just wanted to
Yes.
know, you kept your camera off intentionally, or
Yes,
you want
yes,
to?
I've kept it
Okay.
intentionally off, and I will subsequently in the question and answer session, I will be happy to interact with everyone. But right now, I have consciously, kept it off. But I will keep it on the side if that helps. Is it visible now?
Yeah, we can see you now. Yes, thank you.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Thanks.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
the point I'm trying to make is, so friends, is COVID, which has spread all over the world now, is it a destroyer or is it a teacher? What do you think it is? So you can write in the chat box. I will also keep an eye on the chat box or onto the question box. So what exactly do you think it is? Is it a teacher? So Ravi is saying it's a teacher, or is it a destroyer? Yes. So please let me have your answers. Yeah. So many of you, Vidu is saying it's a teacher. Kishore is saying, where is the chat box? Okay, Kishore Kumar, just put all the things in your question box. I think that is the place where we need to. So it is Deshpande, it's saying it has taught us how to live. It has taught us to live in a new way. Yeah. And yes, I think it's absolutely correct. It is a teacher who has come here to ask us to reset life, to press the reset button and to recreate planet Earth 2.0. You know, in software, we have 1.0, 2.0, but it's now time to create Earth 2.0. And it is us, all of us friends, who will create that new future. Yeah. But things are going to be a little turbulent. It's not going to be so easy. I think there is a lot of turbulence. I'm switching, Avinash, I'll switch off the video because the bandwidth may be compromised a bit. So I'll switch off the video for now. So it is a VUCA world. I think all of us HR people and leaders have been constantly talking about the VUCA world and so on. But I think in a very unconscious way, we never knew the incredible amount of volatility and uncertainty and complexity and ambiguity that can happen when we are hit by something like the COVID disruptor. And it has massively, massively disrupted life on the planet. Whether it is the way we are going to work or the way we are going to learn, Children, for example, are finding that there's a huge amount of learning outside of school, that you don't need school to learn. People are finding that you can work from home. Many people are finding that you don't need so much money to lead a good and wholesome and joyful life. So I think huge disruptions are happening. And friends, as HR leaders, as leaders, we have before us many, many choices. And the choices we make today are actually going to shape the world and will decide whether we are going to only survive and go downhill, or whether we are going to thrive, and whether we are going to really flourish as a humanity, as Earth 2.0. And in this webinar, we will actually look at what are the opportunities for us as leaders. What are the opportunities for us to create a post-COVID world 2.0, which is joyful, which is peaceful, which is abundant, which is thriving, and something that we as leaders are proud to hand over to our children and our grandchildren. Now, pausing for a moment, let me ask you, what exactly is the work of leaders? So you might like to respond in the question box as to what is the real role of leaders. What exactly do leaders do? And each one of us in HR is now going to have to play the role of a leader. We will have to be people who can inspire others, mobilize others, guide others to create new futures. We are at a huge crossroad in humanity, in human history, and it is us leaders, whether we are in HR or business or homemakers, whoever we are, it is up to us to create new futures, and a future that we are proud and happy to hand over to our beautiful children and grandchildren. Because I'm sure you would agree with me that we want to give them a world which is full of joy, which is full of peace, which is full of abundance, and is thriving. And friends, in this webinar, in what is to follow, I'm going to share 3 dimensions of how we can all work together to create a world which is thriving for us, for the environment, for future generations, for everyone. Right? So the first step is compassion for myself. Compassion for myself. Deep compassion for myself. You know what has happened? If you just stop for a moment over here and you look back as to where have we gone wrong, we have lost 3 kinds of connections. We have lost connections with our soul. We have lost connections with our deeper values, with our truth, with our authenticity. And life has become lifeless. It has become a drag for many people. It has become toxic for many people. We have lost touch with our bodies. We have lost touch with our feelings. In the mad rush to do things in an unconscious way for I don't know what, for some notion of success, some ideas, we have lost touch with our body, with our mind, with our consciousness, with our spirit. The second loss of connection is loss of connection with other people. We seem to have forgotten to speak to our neighbors. We seem to have forgotten to speak to our parents, to spend time with an aging parent. We have forgotten to spend time with somebody who's not well, and so on. And we have lost connection with other people. And the third connection we have lost is connection with the earth, with Mother Nature, with the mint in your garden, with the vermiculture pit, the earthworms in the soil. We've lost connection with the fragrance of the mitti when the first rain falls. So these losses of connection have led to the kind of crisis that humanity is in. And the reverse of that is bringing the connection back with myself, with other people, and with the environment. And these 3 reconnections, friends, will lead to joy, peace, and abundance. And we will look at each one step by step. So let's start with care for myself. or joy. Now, it has been said, Meister Eckhart, one of the finest mystics of Europe, has said, the outer work can never be great if the inner work is small. And the outer work can never be small if the inner work is great. And I think humanity seems to have forgotten the inner work. Our ancient ancestors knew it, our forefathers knew it, but modern man seems to have forgotten the inner work and become increasingly small and constricted and selfish and limited. And therefore, the outer work has become toxic, has become dysfunctional, has created huge havoc for the environment. And even if you look at results, let me ask you a little question. If we say that results, even talking about results, business results, and so on, if I ask you a simple question, if your inner state and your actions and your intentions contribute to 100% results, could you write in the question box or the chat box, what is the percentage importance of these three things for 100? So take 100 marks and split them over state, intention, and action. So you can do that now. And I will just keep an eye on what you're writing, right? So what is the breakup? What is the breakup for results? If I say that I want to achieve results, what is the relative importance of state, the inner state, the intentions, the clarity of intention, and the actions that I take? Yes. Anyone would like to respond to that? Let me see. Now, I don't see much writing happening on the question dashboard. Let's see. Are you writing on the chat? No.
There is
Okay. So
Arun,
anyone?
there was a lot of response on the question. Isha is
Okay.
saying action 50%. Sanjay is saying action 30%. Dr. Siva is saying 20%. Others have
Okay.
stated
This is on the chat box.
on
Is
the
that
question
right?
on the question.
Oh, okay. But I'm not able to see them.
Just scroll down on the right hand side of the question box. There is a small scroll bar.
Okay.
If you scroll down,
Yes. Okay, got it. Okay, thanks. Thank you. So, friends, thanks for those responses. But here is the actual situation. The actual situation, which is based on research by Eric Plantenberg, shows that the inner state accounts for 60% of your results, and only 30% intention and only 10% action. And the reason why I'm saying this is because your inner state, our inner state, contributes a huge amount to our success in life. It will contribute immensely to how do we see this whole crisis? How do we respond to this crisis? Do we see it as a calamity or as a great opportunity? It depends upon our inner state. And I think even in India, our ancients have said the hierarchy of power is Bahubal, is the smallest level of power. Bahubal is the power of physical action. Manobal is the power of intention and your thinking, which is the next level. But even more important is Atmabal, or the power of my innermost state, my innermost consciousness. So I think if we can reconnect back with that powerhouse, if we can reconnect back with that incredible source rather, not resource, we would begin to find a lot more joy, a lot more productivity, a lot more creativity in our life. 2 or 3 more simple tools and tips for being more joyful. Now, for you, I'd like another question here. Duck or rabbit? Is this a duck or a rabbit? What is it? And you can write in the chat box or you can write in the question box, and Avinash can just tell me what is happening there, because I'm not able to see that fully. So is it a duck or rabbit? What do you see?
Shweta says rabbit, Rakesh duck.
Okay.
Many people are saying rabbit. Some of them are saying both.
Okay, exactly. Yes. So if you look at it from the right hand side, it looks like a duck. If you look at it from the left hand side, it looks like a rabbit. The answer, friends, is that it is both. Both of these, it is either a duck or a rabbit. Now, exactly in the same way, but at any single point in time, you cannot see it as a duck and a rabbit. You will either see it as a duck or as a rabbit. In exactly the same way, the current crisis can be seen as a huge opportunity for learning, as a huge opportunity for transforming ourselves, as a means of enhancing our immunity, as a means of enhancing our capacity to give and to share, or we can see it as a calamity to be very scared of and fearful. And the choice, friends, is ours. The choice is ours. And one of the things, again, in addition to choosing to take a positive view or a fearful negative view, is also two simple tools that immensely help in changing the attitude and perception of a situation. And as part of taking care of yourself, as part of leading a more joyful life, if we cultivate the attitude of gratitude, the attitude of appreciation, you find that good in your life. And gratitude, if there is one prayer, only one prayer that we had to do, and that is gratitude. Just gratitude. Thank you. Thank you for helping me to improve my health. Thank you for the fact that we have food. Thank you for the opportunity to share food with people who don't have food. Thank you for the opportunity to bond with my team. I've never listened to my team so much. Thank you for the opportunity to learn new things. Thank you for so many things. Now, can you take a few moments and put down in the question box things that you are grateful for, friends? What are some things that you are grateful for right now? Just put some things down in the question box, and then Avinash or Anand, you could just read them out to me. Yeah, so let's have, what are you grateful for right now? Yeah, yes, there is suffering. I'm not denying the suffering. There's a lot of sorrow in the world right now. Many people are suffering. Many people have lost jobs. At the same time, there is something to be grateful for, the silver lining behind the, around the clouds. So what are the things that you're grateful for? And Avinash, can you help me see the responses, please? What are we?
Some of them are saying togetherness of the family, got a chance to donate, being close to my family, helping others. I'm grateful, thankful to others, being a family person with my family, all of these.
Okay, excellent, excellent, very good, very good.
Grateful
And
for everything.
Generally speaking, if ever you want to shift your emotional state inside, look for something to appreciate, look for something to be grateful for, and keep on saying thank you for this, thank you for that, thank you for this, and within seconds your emotional state shifts. The reason why I'm emphasizing this is because as leaders, as HR leaders, as leaders, if we are not in a positive emotional state, we cannot be helpful to other people. Like in the aeroplane, you always hear that before you put a mask on your child, on someone else, please wear the mask on yourself first. So as leaders, we have a duty to keep our emotional state in a positive frame of mind. And gratitude and appreciation are a big help. I'm reminded of what Ramana Maharishi said, one of the greatest leaders and teachers of India. Many people asked him during the Second World War, what is going to happen? What is going to happen? Things are looking so bad, and it's all Hitler's armies are marching all over the Europe. And he replied with a very peaceful, benevolent, calm smile that can only come when you're in touch with the infinite peace of the heart. He said, the creator knows how to take care of his creation. You relax, right? And they asked him, okay, then what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? I mean, he said, look, for 3.5 billion years or 4.5 billion years, the creator has been running life on the planet without any human intervention. Even if humans go away, life will go on very beautifully. The water, the trees, the seasons, the animals, it will go beautifully. So the creator knows what's happening. So relax. And they said, what should we do then? They said, take care of the present and the future will take care of itself. Friends, from my own experience, I've seen that if I take care to see that this moment is joyful, is compassionate, is caring, is creative, is loving, is celebratory, out of those moments is born the next joyful step. The next beautiful step is attracted by those joyful actions in this moment. Another great master, Paramahansa Yogananda, was asked a similar question. He said, what do we do, master? A lot of problems. And he said, God is love. The divine energy that runs all of life is love. So his plan for creation can only be rooted in love. And does not that simple thought, rather than erudite reasonings, offer solace to the human heart? I think these are some things that we can keep in mind to take care of ourselves, to take care of ourselves, and to stay inspired, to stay in touch with the positive energy. Another thing which I want to earnestly urge you to do is to learn the art of mindfulness and meditation. Because the power, the peace, the possibility that is within us is overshadowed for most of us by things from the past, the guilt, the regrets, the grievances, the sadness, the bitterness, the non-forgiveness, and future anxiety. What will happen to my job? What will happen to this? What will happen? And we create so much stress and so much unnecessary burden in the now, in the sacred and creative now, with all this stuff that goes on in the mind. And my own experience shows that whenever I am totally in the now, when I have to do jadu poncha in my house, I am totally doing jadu pocha, which is what I am doing now. I had to do it a few times. I'm sweating, I'm clearing the dust, I'm using the mop, cleaning up, and I'm totally in the now. There's no problem at all. There's nothing. I mean, it's joy in the moment, joyfully sweeping the floor, joyfully mopping, joyfully cutting vegetables, joyfully repotting plants. Because in the now, beyond the mind, beyond the troubles of the past and all the burdens of the past and the troubles of the future, which may or may not come, we have this amazing capacity of peace, power, and possibility, which is in the now. So I'd urge you, strongly urge you, if you're not a meditator, if you don't take time to be silent, if you don't take time to pause for a few moments in the day and just be still, nothing else, no complicated things, no japa, no mantra, nothing. Just be still and listen to the sounds around you, and you come in touch with the profound peace and joy of the heart. And this is something that will keep us in deep care for ourselves. You know, have you ever asked why children are such amazing learners? Why is it that children are so joyful? My God, they're full of joy. They're full of oneness. They don't bother whether you are, Shia or a Sunni, or whether you're from Africa or whether you're from Timbuktu. It doesn't matter. They just play. And they're so incredibly creative. And the reason for this, friends, is because they are in touch with the beauty, the power, and innocence of the innermost core, who we all are. And this sky-like awareness, this sky-like consciousness, is really the very heart of everything great, everything excellent in life, comes from this particular space of no mind, of silence, of witnessing awareness, or the heart, or whatever you like to call it. And I believe and I know from my own experience that everything that human beings are looking for willy-nilly ultimately boils down to happiness and peace, which is their innermost essence. You ask anybody on the planet, what do you want? And they say, I want happiness. Or he might say, I want this, I want that. And you ask, why do you want that? Why do you want that? And finally he says, because I want to be peaceful, I want to be happy. So as HR leaders, as leaders, if you remember this, and we are conscious of this, and we begin to tap into this, I think it can make a huge difference in our own well-being. And of course, not to forget your exercise, not to forget the food you're eating, for example. I mean, it has a huge impact on your well-being. I found that trying to be a little more vegetarian or vegan significantly enhances your capacity. Dropping sugar, dropping all the stuff that is toxic to the body is helpful. Coming to the second point, to thrive. How do we thrive? Care for others, caring for other people. Can we find ways in which every single person's needs are satisfied? Can we find a way that every single person who has the sacred core in their heart, their needs are understood, and we deliver value to them? Huge opportunity for social innovation. I think the way work will be redefined, the way we move away from money to value, and start thinking more in terms of what is the value I'm delivering to people rather than how much money am I giving them. This is a huge opportunity for social innovation for us. Huge opportunity, right? And I would also like to share a simple thing about business. I think many of us have seen that business can be a force of immense good on the planet, or business can also be a source of a lot of toxicity and negative things on the planet. It can be dysfunctional, it can be very nourishing also. So let's spend a few moments looking at this. So if we zoom out, can business zoom out and look at the context? What is business doing to the earth? What exactly is business doing to the environment? What is it doing to people? Can we ask this question? How can business become more nourishing to the environment, more nourishing to people? And how can business become a means of a thriving life? That's a question to ask. The other thing to do is to zoom in, not only zoom out to the context, but to zoom into consciousness. What is the purpose of my life? Why exactly am I here? What exactly do I want? What do we all want? What are we running for? Why am I doing this? I think the COVID experience has forced us to ask some of these hard questions. What exactly is the purpose of my life? What am I spending time on? Am I spending time on the things that are most vital and most valuable for me? So many people are saying it's such a joy to be with my parents. It's such a joy to be with my children. I mean, a very senior executive of a large bank whom I'm coaching right now said that it's such a delight to cook. My God, I never knew it is such a joy to cook, and so on. So, why is it that, or rather, let me word it differently, how can we start paying more attention to things that we truly nourish, that nourish us, that we really value, that we cherish? And a question I want to ask all of us: is business for life, or is life for business? I think this is a question we really have to ask ourselves. In Sweden, the name for work is näringsliv, and näringsliv literally translates into nourishing life. Nourishing life. So work is supposed to nourish life. Business is supposed to nourish life. So what kind of business, what kind of things can we co-create together as leaders which will nourish life? Yeah, but the starting point is first honoring and nourishing yourselves. First honoring and nourishing myself, not doing anything that does not give me joy, that does not give me peace, and does not give me abundance. Now, many of you might say, hey, but what about earning money? Believe me, friends, if you really keep a track of every single penny you spend, I can guarantee you can save 50% of your expenditure. 50%. And if you don't believe me, drop me a mail and I'll show you how to do it. There's huge amount of waste happening, right? So coming back to this, businesses that will thrive will generate value for all. They will generate value for all stakeholders, and they will have leaders who are value-based, leaders who are creating conscious organizations where people are perceptive, they're empathetic, they're mindful, they're awake, and they're aware. Now, a lot of this thing is not new. I mean, this has been written about. I mean, Managing from the Heart, a book I wrote several years back, talks of the same thing. We're talking about how can we bring more spirit and more compassion into organizations. Conscious Capitalism is another book that has all the details of how this works in practice. And most recent book, which Aman mentioned, One Wholesome World, again talks of how do we create joy, peace, and abundance on the planet. Now, many people say in business, oh, if you have joy and peace and compassion and love and caring and authenticity, how are you going to make money? It's not going to be a good business. Well, let me share some research with you, friends. If you look at some of these values, compassion, love, caring, soulfulness, joy, authenticity, and mind you, this is the HR of the future. These are the organizations of the future. A book called Firms of Endearment did a research on organizations which followed these values. Raj Sisodia, Jug Seth, and David Wolf. They did research on them, and they did research on many organizations that follow some of these values. Toyota, Honda, BMW, Costco, Whole Foods, Johnson & Johnson, and there are many in India also. I know personally there are many beautiful organizations in India that follow similar values. SEAT is one of them. There are many others, Sudarshan Chemicals, many others like that. When you find the financial performance of these companies, you find that they outperform the Standard and Poor index by almost 10.5:1. They outperformed, good to great and Standard and Poor companies by 10 times. And this happens because people are using their strengths. They're collaborating with each other. They're not stuck in silos. They're not stuck in silos. There is free communication happening. I mean, if you look at many organizations which are fear-based, there are silos, there is finger pointing, blaming and attacking, and there is not enough collaboration. But if we want to create abundance through care for other people, we must think in very different terms. Let me quickly tell you a story. I'll just quickly tell you a little story and then we'll move forward. The story is called the stone soup story. So a man came to a village and he went into a hut and he said, could you give me some soup? And the lady said, sorry, I don't have soup. We have nothing in the house. He said, no problem. Just put some water in a pot, heat it up, and I have a magic stone which can make soup. She said, oh, that's fantastic. Sure, I'll put it. So she put a pot and this man pulled out the stone from the bag and he put it inside the water. And the water started heating up. And as is common, the lady went to the other neighboring house and said, you know what? There's a person who has got a magic soup stone and he's put it in the water and we're going to have soup. She said, what, really? Oh my God, wow. And then the word got around in the village and before you knew what's happening, everybody was hovering around this pot looking at the soup stone. And this man, he picked up a little ladle and he tasted it. He said, oh, it's lovely. If only there was a little bit of, if we had a few sprigs of onion in it, it would taste even better. So person said, yes, I've got the onions, no problem. They rushed off to their home and put the onions inside the soup. And then someone, after a while, he tasted it again. He said, if there was a little bit of meat, if we had, it would even taste better. In fact, we could all have it. So somebody got the meat and somebody got the potatoes and somebody got something. And they added more water. And before you knew what happened, there was a beautiful, beautiful soup out there. Now, friends, this is a metaphor of what is possible. And when everyone had had their fill, he took the stone out, he washed it, and everybody had their soup and they all left. This is the power of collaboration. This is the power of abundance. This is the power that happens when we can freely, open-heartedly start sharing with each other, sharing knowledge, sharing insights, sharing information, sharing our resources, and just freely sharing, because that is what creates the abundance, that will help us to thrive. Today, if you look at these two words, compete and complete, there's only one letter which is different in all of them. And which is that letter? I'm sure you know what letter I'm talking about, which is the difference between compete and complete. Yes, it is the letter L. That's it, correct. And the difference between compete and complete is if we start these things, if we start linking, listening, learning, leveraging each other, loving more, being giving more, we will be able to thrive in ways that are unimagined so far. Let me tell you a little story. In Pune, there was a huge crisis. In fact, still is a crisis of many landless laborers who are, without food, and so somebody is doing something, somebody is doing something. And a group was formed called the Karuna Relief Group. And in that we say, okay, we need some packets here in Carthage. Okay, here's the money. Please go to the grocer and do it. It is such beautiful collaboration that is happening because we are freely sharing of each other. We're not asking which organization is doing it. They say, look, let's help these people. So many organizations are working together seamlessly, joyfully in feeding these people, creating kits for them, cooked food for them, and support for them. And it is such a joy. It is such a joy working in this team because we are leveraging each other's strengths. We are collaborating. We're not competing with each other. We are completing each other. So if one person says, hey, I don't have any grain, so Hope for the Children Foundation says, don't worry, I've got a lot of grain, so here it is for the kitchen. Then the kitchen says, we don't have containers, no problem, we can sponsor the containers. So you send a check and containers come, and meanwhile people are getting fed. Right? Khichdi is needed. Okay, the Gurdwara comes forward and gives the khichdi. So I think if we start having these kind of conversations, if we start connecting more with people, conversing more, co-creating more, things can happen. Magic and miracles can happen. Talking of miracles, let me just share some data with you. The USA has 8133 tons of gold in its reserves. 8133 tons. The government of India has 612 tons of gold in its reserve. And having said that, the temples of India have a gold reserve of 4,000 tons. Mind you, the government of India official reserves is 612. USA has 8,133, and the temples of India have 4,000 tons, which is 13 lakh crores worth of gold is locked up in our temples. Now, I'm sure that if we sit together, if we calmly discuss, if we discuss with the trusts, with the priests and others, we can unlock this 13 lakh crores worth of gold and maybe create bonds and create opportunities for people. So this is one opportunity of what can happen. Another thing I just want to share is that old forms of organizations like governments, all this are not going to work anymore. I mean, this is how organizations will start looking, right? Again, I think Vivekananda has said it beautifully. He says, don't bother about what color you're marching under. Bring all the forces of good together. Do not care under what banner you're marching, and you will find that you will produce the work, the color of love, which is white. So coming to the third point very quickly now. So we looked at care for ourselves, taking wonderful care of ourselves, taking wonderful care of other people, sharing, learning, being compassionate to others. And the third one is taking care of the environment and, of course, other people. How many people died because of COVID in India? I think what is the latest tally of deaths of COVID? Can anybody tell me the figure, please? And Avinash, if you can read it out, how many people in India have died of COVID so far? Anyone?
Many responses, Arun. 600, 580, 480.
600, 480, 500. Wonderful. Okay, thank you. Thank you all for the response. Here is some statistic for you. I just want to share, keep that in mind. Hunger and malnourishment in India kills approximately 3 lakh children a year. 3 lakh children die per year from hunger and malnourishment, which means, friends, today 820 children would have died today, 21st of April 2020. 820 children will die in India for want of proper food. But do you hear about these children? Do we do, as HRD network or as leaders, do we try to figure out what's happening? Why are 820 children dying every single day? Right? So I think this is something we have to think about. I mean, can we start waking up to possibilities? Now, here's another piece of statistics. 40% of the food that we produce in India is wasted. That is as much food as Britain consumes in 1 year. That is 92,000 crores worth of food, right? This is hard data. I can give you the reference. And in the same place, in the same nation where so many children are dying, a superfood, very low cost superfood, which is the leaves of the Moringa oleifera tree, are available. But how many children are getting fed moringa leaves, moringa soup, moringa chutney? In the south, I know it's used. In the rural Maharashtra, it is used, but very few children eat this. So in Pune, we tried an experiment. We got farmers together. We asked the farmers, can you bring your vegetables, organically grown vegetables, straight away into the city? We'll help you set up the supply chain under a movement called the Annadata movement, developing the capacity of farmers for growing organic food and so on. And today, many families in Pune are getting fresh, organic, tasty, healthy food. Yeah. So I think, just to summarize, it's not that there is a scarcity. It's just that we need to change the way we look at things. We need to collaborate a lot more. We need to converse a lot more and open our hearts to compassion, compassion for myself, compassion for other people, and compassion for the environment. And believe me, thriving will be a huge possibility. It is not impossible that Earth 2.0 will be thriving. I know for sure. But what we have to do as HRD people, as leaders, is identify the jugnus. Yeah. And yes, we must unleash the coronavirus now. It's enough. We've had enough of the coronavirus, but we must unleash the coronavirus, which is the virus of compassion. Compassion for myself, compassion for other people, and compassion for the environment. How do we do this practically? Now, here's a suggestion that I have, or a possibility, which is identify the imaginal cells, identify the jugnus in India. Who are the jugnu HR people? Who are the jugnu IS officers? And the jugnu is a firefly. And imaginal cells, the story of the imaginal cells is that when a caterpillar has to become a butterfly, the caterpillar has a lot of butterfly cells, which the caterpillar eats up until they start clumping and clustering together, and finally they become a butterfly. So a thriving, vibrant, joyful, peaceful, abundant world 2.0 is possible, but every single jugnu, every single person who hears the divine call must gather together with each other, must sit down in silence and listen to each other. And we have a program for that called the iCatalyst program, which is to develop people as catalysts of inspiration, initiative, integration, and innovation based on awakening to the infinite. So at any point, if you want to know more, I'd be happy to share more. It's time for the fireflies to rise. It is time for the jugnus of the planet, not only in India, but all over the planet, to come together and be awake with the fire of love. Because, friends, it is love that is life in full expression, is nothing but love in full expression. And that's what we have to be awake to. And together we can create a world that we can hand over to these beautiful, innocent, lovely children and make a world that we are proud to hand over to them. And for this, friends, India can lead the way. I am very, very confident and sure in my heart that India is going to show the world the way of compassion, the way of collaboration, the way of deep respect for each other, for people, irrespective of caste, color, religion, class, anything, because we see the sacred in people. And it is the national HRD network, all of us, who can help this movement to take place. But, there's a caveat. And the caveat is we have to come out of our comfort zone. We have to do some things that are unusual, scary, and awkward. And only then can we move towards the new possibilities. And there is no escape, friends, from living this ourselves. We can't give lectures about it. We can't talk about it. We have to be the change we want to see in the world. And if we do this, if we take deep care for ourselves, recognizing the sacredness of who we are, we take deep care of other people, recognizing their sacredness, and deep care of the environment, recognizing that it's part of the sacred wholeness of life. It is sacred, it is divine. Only then can we create a world of joy, peace, and abundance, which is a thriving world, a world of great thriving, a world of great energy, of enthusiasm, and so on. And this is what I wanted to say. I'm very happy now to take some questions, and Anand Khot will be helping me with that. And I really appreciate your patience in listening. Very, very looking forward to, for the next 15-20 minutes, to look at any questions that you may have. And I will stop sharing my screen now and be happy to turn on my video camera and be with you to answer any questions that you may have. Yeah, so I'm just stopping my screen sharing now. Yeah, okay.
Arun,
yes, please. Yes.
First question, or rather query, coming from Arun Mukherjee, wanted to get a bit more understanding about the sociocracy. Actually, wanted to see the slide, but maybe instead of slide, if you can just spend a minute or so on the concept.
Sure. Just give me a moment. I will show the slide also. So just give me a moment. I will show the slide and share a bit about it. Just bear with me for a moment. I'm just pulling it out so that we can see the slide. Okay. So here we go. Just a second. I'm going to again share my screen so that I can explain it a little bit more. And can you see the slides now?
Yes.
Okay. So just give me a moment. Okay. I think let's simplify life a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. So sociocracy, Arnab, is basically a way of governing which is based on circles. It is based on people who sit together in circles. So each function has a circle. Like, for example, if we have content development, so there would be a content development circle with its own moderator, with its own person who's a champion, and there would be interlocking circles. And each circle is interlocked with other circles, and there's a central circle in the middle, the leadership council, and there's a board circle, and all the circles are interdependent. And what happens in them is they are very, very autonomous, right? So while there are rules and guidelines, but each circle has its own policy meetings, has its own operations meetings. They have a lot more meetings, better meetings. They get a lot more done. They're very, very well organized, and they all feel very connected, very transparent, very democratic. So it's a democratic, transparent, and very powerful way of organizing and learning. And Pragati Leadership is equipped to teach this to whoever is interested. But many eco-villages in the world are using sociocracy. Many of the thriving eco-villages in the world are using sociocracy. as a big contrast to the command and control pyramid that we are used to in world 1.0. So it's very dynamic, it's very, very open, very transparent. It's not as unstructured as open space technology, but it's a little bit more structured. It's somewhere in between, right? So it's a beautiful balance of structure and process. But I'm happy to share more, Arnab. If you like, you can always write to me. I'll be happy to share more.
Arun,
Yes,
one more question from Dr. Siva.
Yes, Siva.
Saying that how do we shape ourselves in this lockdown period to transform into World 2.0?
Okay, so Shiva, the first thing to do is to not try to change the world. Firstly, in any case in the lockdown, we can't do much except through interaction on webinars. But the first thing, Shiva, is to take care of yourself. Take care of your health. Take care of what you're eating, exercise, meditate, see that you are bringing yourself to a more optimal state of functioning. And most important of all, listen to inner guidance. Just be still and listen to what is the divine core, what is life calling me to do, what makes me joyful, what is mine to do. And when Shiva starts joyfully living a life of wholeness, a life of enthusiasm, energy, fitness, and joy, you will slowly start spreading those vibrations to other people, and they will follow you. They will get influenced by you. So Shiva, start with yourself. I think I'll tell you a very quick story. One man at the age of 80 was telling God, please help me change. So God said, where are you? Where were you so far? He said, at the age of 20, I wanted to change the world. I tried for 20 years, I couldn't change anything. Then at the age of 40, when I had spent 20 years, I said, no, I can't change the world. Now let me at least try to change my wife and child. And he tried 20 years to change his wife and child, and he couldn't change them. And he had turned 60. And at 60, he said, now let me try to change myself. So he was beating himself and being self-negating and depreciating. And for 20 years, he tried. He couldn't. At the age of 80, he surrenders and says, God, please help me and transform me. Give me guidance. I surrender to you. And God says, if you had surrendered at 20, the world would have been changed by now. So I mean, I have personally struggled a lot with this whole question of how do I change things and all that. And today, by God's grace, I realize that I just have to be humble. I have to be surrendered to God. I have to be surrendered to life in great humility, in great gratitude, great understanding, and do my bit wholeheartedly. And the rest I leave to God, who has to do what and when, that God will do. Life will do. I don't want to do anything. And it works, Shiva. I can assure you it works. So be happy, be joyful, take care of your health, eat properly, eat mindfully, have good nourishing food, organic food, drop sugar, drop the toxic stuff, and enjoy yourself. Yes. Any
Thank you, Arun,
other?
for that. There is
Anand.
one very pertinent one from Sanjay Sharma, and he says that why there is difference between knowledge and execution. Specifically, in current scenario, leaders fail to deliver the spoken words.
Yeah.
Why this must be
Beautiful.
happening?
Beautiful. So Sanjay Sharma, thank you very much for that very, very beautiful question. Very beautiful question. I must make a confession to all of you here. I have struggled with this question for many years. For many, many years, I struggled with this question myself. I mean, it's very easy to spout, great theories and nice words and, say this and say that. But at the end of the day, if you're not walking your talk, it's of no use, nothing. It doesn't cut any ice. It doesn't do anything. Now, the reason why the gap happens is because if we say that your capacity for action is like the sun, that sun is overshadowed by a lot of stuff which blocks that capacity for joyful action. And what is the stuff that overshadows? It is the mind, the past, the guilt, regrets, things, I'm not okay, from what my parents told me, what the conditioning, all kinds of stuff from the past, or anxieties about the future. So the mind literally overshadows your capacity to execute in the moment, to execute seamlessly in the moment. And what I have found is that if you can be more and more in the now, be more and more mindful in the now, be more and more silent in the now, get in touch with your divine core, and remember the mantra, joyful action now. Joyful action now, you find that execution is much better. Yeah. So all the procrastination, the negativity, the not okayness, fear of failure, anxiety about the future, it overshadows the simple, innocent power of joyful action now. So knock off the mind by being in the now, and you will find that your execution really improves significantly. And you're more happy, you're more joyful. And Buddha has said something beautiful. He said that if your knowledge does not translate into action, then it's not knowledge. It's not knowledge at all, because if it's true knowledge, if it is knowing in the moment, it will immediately execute into action. Otherwise, it's not, it's some story, some fantasy, something in the mind. So be more silent, be more joyful, be more present, and above all, take time to be silent. I think this is something I repeatedly tell people: take time to pause. Right now, the whole of earth has been forced to pause. I mean, many of my friends, when I said pause, they said, I can't pause, there's too much work to do. But now, COVID and Mother Nature has forced all of humanity to pause because we were not pausing. And if you remember, this pause is peace, awareness, unity, silence, and energy. You get in touch with the peace, awareness, unity, silence, and energy of the heart. It is so beautiful. So do pause, and your execution will go forward much better, smooth, without any resistance. Yes, Anand.
One
I'm
more
ready
from
for this
Srinivas.
question. Yes.
Very interesting and profound questions people are asking. Thank you, team.
Thank
So
you, folks. I
Srinivas
love these
says,
questions.
right, Srinivas is saying that how do we make the leadership in the company follow these good selfless things and create healthy environment in the company? Can you share some examples or tips where companies have changed from being a selfish company with respect to environment, and now they have taken steps to be more kinder towards environment?
Yes. So many companies that have come to, for example, organizations like Pragati Leadership or initiatives of change. One of the things we insist on doing is a lot of quiet time, a lot of silence. We say take time to be silent, take time to introspect inside. And there is a very simple process of quiet time. There's a simple process of meditation and pause. So the moment you do that, you begin to question things. Like, for example, you question, why am I doing this? You question yourself, you say, who am I? Who am I? I mean, we often ask our leaders to do this little introspection about who am I and why am I here? And really go deep into that, really introspect. And when you look at things diligently like a good scientist, you look at who am I, why am I here, you realize that, my God, the self is just a piece of fiction. There's nothing there really. There's nothing. I mean, I'm not going to take anything with me. My coffin will have no pockets in it, and my grave will have no almirahs, and I can't take anything with me. Then what am I doing? So deep introspection and inquiry into who I am and why am I here, through a lot of exercises that we get them to do, gets them in touch with the authentic core. And when they get in touch with the authentic selfless core of who they are and who we all are, three things happen. Number one is a tremendous freedom. My God, there's no burden now. I'm like a child. I'm just childlike. There's nothing inside. It's just free, innocent space. So I feel very free. I feel very joyful. Number two, I begin to see that serving others gives me a lot of happiness. When I serve someone else, when I do something for someone else, when I'm compassionate to someone else, it gives me great happiness, great joy. That's what I'm looking for. It gives the other person happiness. So I begin to experience the joy of service. Seva Parmo Dharma. I begin to experience the joy of service. That I'm here to serve. I'm here to give my gifts, to give of myself. Because I'm not going to take anything with me. I can't take anything with me, but I can be joyful. I can serve joyfully. So there's more joy, more service. And the third thing that happens is you begin to see that we are all waves on the same ocean. The dogs who run around in the morning on my walk with me, we are part of the same ocean. My colleagues at Pragati Leadership, we are all waves on the same ocean. All of us here in this webinar are all waves on the same ocean of life. I mean, like if you look at your bodies, 60–70% of the body is water. Now, where was this water? The water was probably in some sea or some lake or part of some other bodies. And friends, listen to this carefully. The breath that you just breathed has 400,000 molecules of argon in it, which were breathed by Jesus and Buddha and Nanak in their lifetime. The same breath that you just took. So we're so interdependent. We're so interdependent, but you begin to see this only when you inquire, only when you become a little silent inside, only when you begin to look deeper into life, and you begin to see, my God, we're interdependent. I'm not going to take anything with me. Service is such a joy. It is so joyful to be present now, in the moment. Why should I not give myself joy and give others joy? What else is it for? And these things slowly transform your behavior as a leader into what we call wholesome leadership. And wholesome leadership is leadership that has a conscious vision. It has great compassion, great creativity, and universal well-being is what we're working for. Universal well-being. Wholesomeness for me and other people. Sabka mangal ho. Mera mangal, tera mangal, sabka mangal. So I think just to summarize, that kind of leadership is born through experiencing the deepest core of who you are, which is silence, magnificence, peace, love, energy. It's beautiful. It is beautiful, and you are beautiful because you are that. You are that right now. You just have to go in and see that, my God, hey, my God, wow, this is so beautiful. And this recognition, friends, is the one that will create planet Earth 2.0. And Anand and Aman, as a gift to all the people on this webinar, I'll be happy to share a free copy of my book, One Wholesome World, in the e-format, in the PDF format. We will send you a link. Just register your name on that link and download the book. Yeah. And I'll also send you a book called Opening Doors Within, which is another gift for you so that we can all connect with this profound source of wholeness, which is our own self.
Amazing, Arun. That's brilliant. Thank you. And we'll take one last question coming from Shweta Patak. Very powerful question again.
Yes, Shweta.
What she's saying that she has tried implementing mindfulness and some of the techniques you have suggested. However, she believes that senior leaders and middle management don't understand these things and they consider these are bookish things. And how do you deal with that? Because of the difference in understanding of her leadership and management versus what she believes, she's not able to possibly implement this as much as she would have liked.
Sure. So, Shweta, two quick things. One is a little story. A lady came to Guru Nanak and said, my child is having too much sugar. Can you please help him? Can you please tell him something so that he doesn't have too much sugar? So Nanak said, sorry, I can't do anything. You come back after 1 week. So the lady went back to her village and she got her son again. And again, Nanak said, sorry, I can't tell you anything. You come back next week. And next week when she came, Nanak said to the child, beta ye good jo hai na, don't have too much of it. So the lady said, sir, I live from such a far away village and I have to come. So why didn't you tell him this the first day? He said, the first day I also had the same problem. I also used to have too much good. Then I thought I'll be able to overcome it in a week, but I couldn't do that. And so I sent you back again. And only when I could master the not eating of good and not eating too much sugar, then my words will have an impact on your child. So Shweta, the first thing I'd say is you first be ablaze with the power of mindfulness, not just as I am doing a technique, but really going deep into who am I, so that you become that silence and peace and love that we all are at our core. So you get on fire first, Shweta, number one. Number two is, if you want research, drop me an email. I'll send you tons of research on how mindfulness leads to productivity in organizations like Apple and American Express and Google. Google, in fact, has a thing called Search Within. One of the HR heads there has written a book called Search Within. So there's a lot of research now on how mindfulness and meditation expand the capacity of organizations to be more productive, to be more joyful, to be more compassionate, engaged, and to serve their customers better in the marketplace. I know many of our clients at Pragati Leadership are outstanding in this thing. So it works, it is practical. And as I said in my webinar also, such companies outperform the others to a ratio of 10:1. In fact, that is part of the research. So Shweta, I'm happy to share with you, but believe you me, it works. And to transform others, I've seen in my life, you set an example. That's the greatest way to transform other people, is you set an example. You work on yourself. Don't worry about changing the world. Don't worry about changing your wife or husband or anything. Just humbly, quietly work on yourself in a joyful way. Don't beat yourself up. With great joy, compassion, and respect, develop yourself. Okay? Right. Anything else?
Excellent. Thank you, Arun. I think those questions were very powerful, and your responses, as always, have been highly insightful.
Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the questions.
First of all participants, thank you for being with us today. Continue to share with us your learnings and anything you need further from all of us. And on Arun's behalf, I can tell you that he'll be always happy to come back and share more insights or work along with us.
Absolutely.
Avinash, Aman, thanks a lot for making this webinar a reality from what we thought 3 weeks back versus where we are today. And that's the power of being together and the sociocracy, as you said. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And would you be taking some kind of feedback or something, or will people enter it in the questions which you can share with me later? Or
sure, we will. Avinash will get it from the tool, right?
Right, sir.
Yeah. So we'll share that with you, Arun. And participants, you will get the books which Arun called out, the e-books. So we'll share that with you shortly as well.
Fantastic. Good. Thank you all. Thank you, Avinash, Anand, and Aman for this opportunity to share. And thank you to all the participants on this webinar for being present, for listening, and for your questions. And I salute once again the sacred core of infinite peace, silence, and awareness that is who you are. Thank you. Namaste. Have a lovely evening. Stay safe, stay happy, stay joyful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Avinash, we can formally close it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And on my personal behalf and on behalf of National HRE Network, I thank Mr. Arun Wakhlu for sharing their wonderful thoughts, insights, and experiences with us. We are indeed grateful to you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And would like to thank all the participants and look forward to your participations in our future program. Till then, all the best and have a great day.
Thank you.
This is
Thank you very much. All the best. Thank you. Take care. Bye.